She was just looking for a hobby, a break from the doldrums of the dry cleaning business, when Evelyn Bryan Johnson saw an ad for flight lessons. And to get to that first lesson, she traveled by train, on a bus, a mile on foot, and finally by rowboat. But it was love at first flight. Now, her husband, W.J., had earlier escaped the laundry business and headed for flight training during World War II. And the irony, pun intended, is that after his flight training was canceled, it was her husband that was offered a job as the head of laundry at McDill Field in Tampa, Florida. Thus, it was that Evelyn was learning to become the pilot in the family. Evelyn was born November 4th, 1909, in Corbin, Kentucky, the oldest of 3 children. She was 5 years old when her father, a conductor for the railroad, moved his family to Tennessee. She always enjoyed school and earned a scholarship to Tennessee Wesleyan, graduating in 1929. After a couple of years of teaching, she enrolled at the University of Tennessee. It was there that she met her husband, W.J. Bryan. They married in 1931. In 1933, the couple borrowed $250 from his father, started a dry cleaning business, and worked 18 hours a day. A few days after Pearl Harbor, W.J. joined the Army Air Corps and left Evelyn to take care of the business. While looking for a hobby, she took her first flight lesson on October 1, 1944. Johnson soloed on November 8, 1944, in a Piper J3 Cub, with the minimum 8 hours required before the instructor jumped out, leaving the controls to her. She says she's glad nothing happened, because she really didn't know a lot at the time. Johnson earned her private pilot certificate the following June, adding a commercial certificate in 1946, and became a flight instructor in 1947. That afternoon, she instructed her first student. She was later named a designated FAA examiner in 1952. She also became one of the first female helicopter pilots and was involved in the Civil Air Patrol. Johnson's students have run the gamut from pilots flying for pleasure to individuals who went on to become airline executives. She gave Tennessee Senator Howard Baker his private pilot flight test. Johnson says they were flying a Beech Debonair and got to the stall series. The senator said the plane wasn't made for stalls. Johnson told the senator that if they didn't do the stalls, he'd just have to get along without his private pilot's license. He did them. What does it take to be a good pilot? Johnson says concentration, study, effort, and dedication are the keys. Known as Mama Bird, Johnson sees problems with today's check rides. She says the instructors don't teach students how to read a map. Johnson isn't shy about offering advice to today's flight instructors, saying a lot of them are just doing it to build time. But if you really enjoy instructing, stick with it. You'll never get rich, but you'll have a lot of fun while earning a living. Johnson's contributions to general aviation go beyond flying and flight instruction. She owned a fixed-base operation, Morristown Flying Service, for 33 years. And recently, she celebrated 54 years of service at Morrill Field in Morristown, Tennessee. Johnson served on the Tennessee Aeronautics Commission for 18 years and was chairman for 4 of those years. She helped allocate state and FAA block grant funding for airport improvement projects throughout the state. For 19 years, Johnson was a Cessna dealer, so she flew and sold just about everything Cessna made. She owned many airplanes, ranging from an Aeronca Champ to the Super Cruiser, but adds she was often too busy with her flight school to fly her own planes. From 1951 through 1954, and again in 1960, Johnson enjoyed participating in powder puff derbies. It was 1955 BC, that's before Castro, she says. She flew in an international women's air race from Washington to Havana, Cuba. She has stacks of scrapbooks and 36 or so plaques and awards. She was the FAA's Flight Instructor of the Year in 1979. She's been inducted into the Women in Aviation Pioneers Hall of Fame, the National Flight Instructors Hall of Fame, the Kentucky and Tennessee Aviation Halls of Fame. Johnson is most proud of a small plaque that marks her 1997 induction into the Hamblin County Women's Hall of Fame in Morristown. She says the organization chooses inductees who make good role models for girls. In 55 years of flying, she's logged close to 57,635 and a quarter hours. That's equivalent to almost 7 years aloft. If you ask her when she plans to retire, she'll tell you, "When I get old enough." I'm only 97 years old. For her personal dedication to flight instruction and her promotion of general aviation, Evelyn Bryan Johnson has earned her place in the National Aviation Hall of Fame.